no, seriously. When this game came out, um, when this video game came out, um, this was the tail end of the 7th generation of consoles from my perspective, and what I mean when I say it was 7th generation of consoles, I mean your PlayStation 3s, your Xbox 360s, your Nintendo Wiis. I consider that the last console generation because the business model of video games itself changed after that. And this was the last video game I got a hold of where when I sat down and played it, I felt like I was playing a video game. I felt like I was playing a no-nonsense video game. I didn't feel like I was playing a video game that wanted me to play that was created with only multiplayer in mind. I didn't feel like I was playing a video game that was created with DLC in mind. This was the last video game where when I sat down and played it, I experienced a video game. So from my perspective, this is the last video game that humans ever made. And it's funny because when I went into playing it, I remember clearly when I went into playing it, I sat down and went, this is a port, or like, this is a movie tie-in video game. I went, this is a movie tie-in video game. There's no way this is going to be good. When I was a kid, I had very bad experiences with movie tie-in video games, as I'm sure all of you did. I recall vividly going to Best Buy, going out of business sales, and digging through the, clearance bins, the everything must go clearance bins, where things were extremely discounted, and getting movie tie-in disc after movie tie-in disc, hundreds of movie tie-in disc video games, not literally hundreds, but a lot of movie tie-in disc video games for the GameCube. And I remember how bad of an experience it was, or how not necessarily bad, just disappointing it was to put all of those tiny little GameCube discs into the Nintendo GameCube and be disappointed with the experience of playing all of those terrible movie tie-in video games. That's why I think I was so infatuated with the Angry Video Game Nerd. I think that's why I had such an infatuation. Let's see if this is the Angry Video Game Nerd. I think that's why I have such an infatuation with the Angry Video Game Nerd. Even though he is not what he once used to be. You know, he went into other people scripting his content, and that's just, I don't know, that is what it is. I want to remember the Angry Video Game Nerd as I remember as my favorite era of the Angry Video Game Nerd. That's what I want to remember him as. I want him to forever be the infallible Angry Video Game Nerd in my mind, just like how I want iDubbbz to be the infallible iDubbbz in my mind, and I don't want to remember iDubbbz as the guy who married Anissa and tarnished his legacy. I mean, but that's the case with so many people. It's the same. I don't want to remember. Who's another one? Who's another one that I don't want to remember as what they ended up becoming? They're out there. ProJared, I guess. There was there was a guy from Game Grumps that was the guy's girlfriend that ProJared cheated on his wife with or something. I don't want to remember the Game Grumps friend as the guy that ProJared slept with. Jesse Cox. He's still good in my mind, actually. You know, the tarnishing, the attempts to tarnish Jesse Cox's legacy. You know, Jesse Cox is cool in my book. He chose to not lean into a joke that could be considered bigoted. And can you even fault him for that during the time period? I think that was smart from a business standpoint that he didn't want to lean into an edgy joke at a gaming convention. I don't care if it was a fan or not. That didn't tarnish Jesse. Does the two best friends play people? I don't want to remember the two best friends play people is what they, as separate people. In my mind, two best friends play is still a collective. Just like in my mind, what's his name? Fucking... What was, hold on, I can just look this up on YouTube. John Jafari... What the fuck is his YouTube name? The fuck is John Jafari? JonTron. Just like I don't want to remember JonTron separate from Aaron Hansen. I've known about Aaron Hansen since I was a kid, so you know, I don't like Sam Hyde's Game Grumps bashing because I was a Game Grumps fan. Just like I knew about fucking... Jesus Christ, my memory is bad when it comes to the shit that I used to watch on YouTube. Okay, let's see. Oni plays... Oni plays... What the fuck? Zach. Psychic Pebbles. Fucking, you know. I don't know. You get the point. The point is that fucking, this is the last video game ever made, from my perspective. This has been me. And this is something that may seem obvious. This is something that may seem obvious to you if you were there, but I guarantee you there's people that weren't there. There's people that even if someone explained it to them or if they sat down and read it somewhere, I don't think there's anyone that would exactly understand it from a perspective such as in the words that I put it. And like, I guarantee you there's people older and younger than me that wouldn't understand what I'm saying, and maybe this will give them a chance to understand what I'm saying. I'm sure there's people who have put it in more profound words than this, but I don't know if they necessarily use this game as an example, because I think timing wise, I'm giving a good pinpoint of exactly when it all went wrong. And I would say this is without a doubt probably like the last video game of the 7th generation when it was common for video games to be made like this with single player in mind. And you could say I'm wrong. You could reference Bloodborne or this, that, and the other, but those are made with expansion packs in mind. It's not, you don't necessarily understand what I'm saying. Like, when I say that this was the last video game meant to be a video game, this was like the last AAA video game that was an attempt to continue the business model of a major developer or major publisher or something like that. This was an attempt from a company to still make it viable for AAA video games to exist as they were. This was like the last cry of an era, to try to put it in better words. Like, this was, in my opinion, and I'm probably wrong, but this was like the last attempt to continue making video games like the way they were made in let's say the second golden age of video gaming. Like, after this, they kind of just abandoned it. Any attempts to further make it viable from that point are made with season passes for DLC content in mind, even if they're made to not be an online service. If that's a good way to put it. This was like, you know, one of the last cries of an era from my perspective of when it was still commonplace. That's another thing that you got to keep in mind. It was commonplace still for video games to be made. Single player experience in mind, no DLC, like just rely on the game that came in the physical media. CDs weren't a license to download the game. Like, this is physical media. Like, the game they ship to you on the physical media was intended to be a standalone good product. This is like one of the last cries of that era. If it wasn't the exact last game, it was definitely one of the last cries of an era from like in a Western English speaking AAA developer. So that's that.